In order to evaluate an article using the Owens-Scholarly Average Guidelines, you need to perform a search and select an article. So once you've selected an article, the first thing that you want to look at is the currency of the article, and is it current enough for your topic? And that is listed in the source area. The next thing that you want to look at is the authority. So have the author or single author written on this topic before. You can click on their names and see what other things that they've written about that are indexed in this database, and decide if it's on similar topics or not. You can also look at what the author's background is. Do they work for a college university? Is the author a journalist? Do they have experience in the area? And if your author name has a little superscript number by it, then in this database you can scroll down a little bit, and there's usually an author affiliation area that gives you a little bit more background about that particular author. Sometimes you may have to click on the article itself, and usually at the beginning or the end of the article it will tell you a little bit more about their background. You can also, similar to what you did previously in Google, you can phrase search the author's name, and I learned in that previous article that that author worked for the Leeds School of Business, so I could type in any other information I knew about the author and search and find out who that author is and are they qualified to write on that topic. Another thing that you might want to look at is the source that you are using. So on this particular one, I can, in the source area, I can click on the publication name. And one of the things I can look at is that publication peer-reviewed, which means other people in that discipline have looked at the article's content and decided if it was credible and valid before it was published. And this one says yes. If it's not peer-reviewed, it will say no. A lot of times magazines and newspapers might not be peer-reviewed. They may be have the content reviewed by an editor, but not necessarily a panel of peers within that discipline area. You can also look at the publication type by clicking in the source area on a publication name, and it will tell you this one is an academic journal. If it is a magazine or a newspaper, it will say that in the publication type area. If it says in publication type that this is a periodical, then you are probably looking at a magazine. The final thing to look at when you're evaluating whether or not you should select an article, if it's credible, or your topic, is to look at the references and the sources that they used. Do they provide a reference list or a bibliography? You can click on the article itself and scroll to the end of the article and see, are there references listed? Or sometimes in an article, like the second choice, I can click on that PDF full text and notice that some articles may not have a reference list at the end of the article, but some of them have footnotes where they tell you specifically where pieces of information are pulled from. And sometimes your author's background will also be listed in a footnote. These are all things that I would look at when I'm researching a publication to decide if it has good authority or credibility to use in my own research.